Hello, my name is Pat Curo and I'm from the Barona Band of Mission Indians. In honor of Native American Month, the Barona Cultural Center has partnered with the new Children's Museum for a virtual story time. Today we are reading this book called A is for Acorn by Analisa Tripp. This book is special because it features objects from native cultures throughout California and gives the English name. I'm going to teach you how to say the word in our native language, Iipay Aa. The things we can see in this book are common throughout all California Indian nations, but we each have our own word for the things that we see in this book in our own native language. The book is called A is for Acorn. As we turn to the front page, A is for acorn. In our language, there are various ways to say acorn. Each tree has its own name, and the name for the acorn is the same as the tree. For instance, we have Samtai and Kuphaall, and we have Shnyao and Nishao. Those are the 4 acorns that are edible. And they're picked and cleaned and they go through a process in order to make a food out of it. The second name we have here, we have the word basket. There are all kinds of baskets and each one has its own name. For instance, in this book we have Sawil and Empun and Hatay, and they're all different baskets used for different things. They were very important to the Indian people, for gathering foods in the basket, for storing foods in the basket, for even cooking in the baskets. They would heat up rocks and hot rocks and put them inside the basket in a liquid form and boil things. They were very important to the Indian people. The next word we have is canoe. Canoes were very important. Kutuuyaalp, it says. Kutuuyaalp is a kind of a boat that the Indians used, and those Indians that lived along the ocean really used them a lot. They would go out into the ocean in order to gather the kelp and to fish and to spread their nets, and they were they were mariners. They were seagoing people, the ones that lived along the coast. And next we have the deer. It's a quack. A quack, a very important animal to the Indian people. It provided a lot of food for the tribes all over the country. And we have eagle, ehaa. And if that's what the northern Iipay people say, the southern Tipai people say ishpa. And this bird was a very sacred bird. It was used in ceremony and dance. Its feathers and even its body was used in our ceremonies. And next we have flicker, cuckoo. The feathers of the cuckoo were also used in ceremony and in medicine. Next we have grandparents. We do not have one word that just means grandparents. Each grandparent had its own name. As we can read in the book, in the pao, that would be your father's father. In the quail, that would be your mother's father. In the ka, that would be your mother's mother. And in the mau, that would be your father's mother. We have house, awa. Indians didn't really live in houses. They did build in the mountains long houses made out of tule and other types of vegetation, and a lot of people would live in them. But the ones along the coast where my tribe is from, they built small houses. They called them awa, and they were very important to them. But mostly Indians lived outdoors, especially in Southern California, where the climate was so good. We have the word iris. It's a flower. Personally, I don't know the individual name for an iris, but I put down the word for flower, wutup. and it just means flower. It means to be opening up, just like a flower opens up. Now, Juncus is Kwanai. Juncus was a very important plant that was used in making baskets and other things for the Indian people. King snake, kwalypaay, kwalypaay. There's another way to say it. You say Hipuk, but what this means is really the chief snake or the captain snake, or the snake that is first, because king snakes will take care of themselves against any predator in the snake family. And then we have laughing. The word for laughing is Uusay. Uusay. People love to laugh. If you know Indian people, they laugh a lot. And then we have mountain. It means Matatai. Matatai, literally it means the big earth. Mat is earth and Tai is big. Matatai, the mountain. Next we have necklace. Necklaces were used a lot. The word for necklace is hanak. Hanak. You could make necklaces out of shells and stones and all kinds of vegetation things that they would use. When a child is teething, they would make a necklace out of rattlesnake bones in order to alleviate the pain that comes from the teething child. Next we have otter. I personally don't know a word for otter. Whenever I heard the tribal people talking about otters, they would use the English word water dog. They called them water dogs. If you were going to say that in our language, you would say Ehatt, ehaa. And so we'll just call it that for now, Ehatt, otter. And then we have pinecone, and that's Hwiiw. Various kinds of pine cones grew, and of course the Indians harvested the nuts, and the pine cones, when they were dry, made good firewood. In those days they did a lot of outdoor fires. And now we have quail. The word is Aahmaa. Aahmaa, a very important bird among the people. The top crop on the quail, that was also used for various things and for ceremonial dress and feather gathering. Aahmaa was a good food. Next we have the rattle, and we call it Halymaa. It's made from a gourd, and it's a very important instrument among our people. We did not use drums here among the Kumeyaay people. We used rattles to sing our song and play our beat with the song. And next we have salmon. And I don't have a word for salmon, but I have a word for fish. The word is Chii. Chii. That word is used to describe almost any fish, but for salmon, we're just going to call it Chii. And then we have tree, and we say il. But each tree has its own name, and when the people talked about trees, usually they would say the name of the tree. Next we have an urchin, and I honestly don't know the word for urchin. And so we're just going to have to skip that one, and you can use your imagination and enjoy the book, but urchin. Vulture is Sha'ii. Sha'ii, vulture. And it's a bird that cleans up after all the mess is made from other kills and when an animal dies, and it's very important to the ecosystem. And so we have the word Sha'ii for vulture. And next we have Woodpecker Hetepull. Woodpecker. Fun to listen to. Sometimes they are very annoying when they're outside your house early in the morning, pounding on a tree. And then we have the letter X, but we of course didn't have a letter X, but we have a word for crossing or cross, and the word is Hekay. Hekay. And so we'll leave that one with Hekay. And finally we have a yucca, a kur. Yucca is a very important plant. You could eat the flowers, you could eat the stem and the bottom of the yucca, the green, leafy, sticky, pointy things that come up. You could use that for various things, making cordage and string and using that string to make nets and other things, bags to carry things in and to tie things up. And then Zzz, a baby is snoozing here. And I put the word for sleep, Hemaa, Hemaa, the baby is sleeping, Hemaa. And that's the story from this book, which is A is for Acorn. Hope you enjoyed it.